Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray, and you're watching Mixtress Video. So I actually have to re-record this video today because I started it, or I recorded the whole video on Wednesday when I recorded my my perfume video, but I don't know when this will go up. But I recorded this originally the same day that I recorded that, but I accidentally deleted it. So if any of this sounds rehearsed, it's because I actually already made all these answers and told these stories one other time. So we're going to do the like A to Z getting to know your tarot tuber tag that I believe was started by Simon from Hermit's Cave. I don't remember the exact hashtag, but it'll be in the title of this video, and that's likely how you got to me. So hi, hello. We're gonna do a get to know you. I've never done like a Q&A or anything like that before, so I thought this would be a good way to. I don't really ever tell personal stories on this channel really either, with the exception of like when I told my story about when I was on Maury Povich, which was a couple years ago that I told that story. Probably more than a couple years ago, actually. So I'm just going to do this little A to Z tag where like every letter corresponds to a thing where I can tell you guys a little bit more about myself. So let's go. A is for age. I am 38. I was born in 1982. My soul card is Lovers. I am a Libra rising, Libra sun, Aries moon. B is book, for favorite book. So this is one that I'm going to try not to talk about it forever. This is the book that I've probably read the most times in my life. It is a fiction book set in the 90s in New Orleans about gay, gothic children of the night. And it is Drawing Blood by Poppy Z. Brite. So the thing about this book that I think might be kind of problematic now is that it depicts a very abusive relationship in sort of the context of abuse as love. It's not quite that problematic as what I just made it sound, but I think I might have issues with this book if I read it today. So if you've never read it, it might not be for you. So I don't necessarily recommend this book to people, but it is my favorite book because it is the book that I've read the most times in my life. And Poppy Z. Brite is really good with description. He really gives you a sense of the place and a sense of the characters, and like everything is just very like gothic, abysmal, putrescent, like all of these like gorgeous words that you just want to chew on. And this particular book I bought from his Etsy, and he inscribed it for me and drew a couple little cute love cats in there. Isn't that great? So this book is precious to me, and I actually, the first time I read it, it was written in 1993, and I probably read it in 1996 or 7, maybe 8, 98, somewhere around there. And it was just like the first time I felt like I was reading a book about people like me. So growing up in the as a goth kid in the Midwest, it was actually very rare. There were only like 5 of us goth kids in my high school, and maybe more like 3. I was like one of 3. And yeah, this is an important book to me, and I do reread it like every 5 years or so because it reminds me of that time of my life of like really finding out who I am, and for the first time reading a fiction book where I felt like I related to the characters. It's the only thing I really need in a book is setting and character. I don't even need there to necessarily be a plot in a book. And Poppy Z. Brite is really great at character-driven stories set in a place. I think all of his books are set in New Orleans, and he must have just grown up there because he's really good at describing it. Or I would assume. I actually have never been to New Orleans, so I don't know. But you just really get a sense of feeling like you can feel being in these characters' minds. And he also does a really good job at like, there'll be like the main couple of characters, but there'll also be, this book probably has 5 or more different perspectives. Like each chapter you're in a different person's perspective, and then those stories come together at the end, and that's how most of Poppy Z. Bright's books work. Anyway, so my first favorite author, and this is the book that I go back to over and over from his oeuvre. Sorry, this is not my iPad, so I'm gonna have to keep unlocking it. And okay, C is for career you wanted when you were a kid and what it actually is now. So there were many different things, like I'm sure most kids, like there were many different things that I wanted to be at different times. I have a whole story that like maybe I'll tell you guys one day if you're interested. I wanted to be a piercer in my late teens / early 20s. Like I probably wasn't even 21 yet. I was probably like 19, 20, 21, somewhere around there. I don't remember exactly. But I was apprenticing to be a piercer, and I think it actually possibly could have been a really good career for me, but trying to be a piercer as a woman in the very early 2000s in the Bible Belt, I'll have to tell you guys the story someday, because if I start, I'll be talking for 45 minutes just about that. It did not work out. And that's all I'll say for now. I also thought I wanted to be a massage therapist for a second, and then I realized I would have to be very, very intimate with strangers' bodies. And also massage therapists can have really bad like carpal tunnel and arthritis and joint problems and stuff, which I have that in my genes anyway, so I didn't want to accelerate that. And also, that's a whole other story too. Anyway, we won't go there. So I thought I wanted to be several different things, and I ended up, like, I do a lot of different things. I have a Buffy recap podcast. Information for that is below in the description. I have this YouTube channel. I have my weekly radio show that is every Friday from 7 to 10 Central Daylight Time. Information for that is below. And I have my tarot reading Etsy shop. Information for that is below. And I love all of these different things. I love talking about Buffy. I love music and making mixes, which is why I call myself the Mixtress. I love all the things that I do, and the reason that I'm able to do that, some of those things I get paid a little bit for, and some I don't. Like I get paid for the tarot readings. I don't get paid for this YouTube channel. I have a Patreon, so I kind of indirectly get paid for some of these things that I do, but I don't get paid directly for the podcast or the YouTube channel. What was I gonna say? Oh, the thing that enables me to do all of that is my part-time job that I've had for the last 16 years. I work at a public library, and I hope to be able to do that for the rest of my life, because working at the library has taught me so much about being a more empathetic person, because I've worked with so many different people, all different ages, all different nationalities, all different levels of ability. I've worked with so many different kinds of people, and it's really taught me a lot about just being a better human, and I wouldn't give that up for anything. So hopefully libraries will continue to exist. Vote for libraries any chance you can get, because they are really they're important and they mean a lot to me. So I didn't necessarily think I was going to be a librarian growing up, but yeah. And I technically can't, I don't have a degree in library science, so I can't technically call myself a librarian, but I do, because I've been there for 16 years. I've done the time. I think I can do it. I think I can say I'm a librarian at this point. D is for dream. I'm assuming that's sort of like what creative project, what dream do you have that you want to bring into the universe? For me, probably at this point, I would really I have all kinds of things that I'd love to do someday. But the thing that probably is most prescient for me these days is I'd like to create a tarot deck. I have made no strides whatsoever on that front, so don't get excited or anything. I'm not going to tell you. I have an idea for one. I'm not going to tell you just because I'm not ready to even get it started yet. but I have an idea for what I would like my tarot deck to be. I've done some brainstorming on it. I know what cardstock I want. I know what colors I want the deck to be. I know what the theme of the deck is. I know the approach that I'm doing. I mean, I'll give you that much, and you're not going to be surprised. It's going to be an RWS knockoff. And but I don't know if I'll ever do it, honestly, because I don't have the artistic skills probably to pull it off. I used to be pretty into art. Like, I'd need to like really get into it again and get going, and so I haven't done that yet. E is for essential item. My essential item is an iPod. If I'm ever like I mean, I'd love a tarot deck too, but like, I feel like if I'm to the point where I have Alzheimer's or dementia and I don't even know my own name anymore, if you put my iPod, this is an iPod mini from 2005 that I bought used on eBay, and I actually retrofitted it with a 200 gigabyte micro SD card, so it actually holds all of my music on it. And I think if I'm to the point where I don't know anything about anything anymore, if you put my iPod on shuffle and I can listen to all the music that I love, I will be okay, so here you go. If I ever get to that point, tell people that don't know, give me my iPod and I'll be okay. Okay, what is next? Did I press record? Yes, okay. I had to pause it for a second. F is for favorite RWS deck. I am taking this to mean not RWS knockoff, but straight up RWS deck. So I actually only have 2 in my possession right now. I have the 100% plastic that I actually just used it for the first time today, for the intended purpose that I got it for, which is I got it to use in the tub, because every time I take a bath, which is often in the winter, I want to do tarot readings in the tub, and I do, but like, I have to be very careful that I don't drop the cards in the tub. And when I found out that the RWS plastic deck existed, I had to get it, and I just used it. And like, the way that it worked, it was perfect, guys. It was perfect. I did have to like dry off each and every individual card after the bath. But that's just going to be part of my post bath time ritual at this point. But it was just kind of fun because I was shuffling on the like side of the tub, and then like if a card fell into the water, I was like, okay, that's the one, that's my jumping card. And it was great. I love that I have a deck now that I can get completely wet. But that one is like sort of the obnoxious coloring of like the more recent RWS decks. The one that is my favorite is the only other one that I have right now. I have a Centennial that I've just ordered because I had one before, but I turned it into like a wall hanging. So I can't use it as a deck anymore. So I'm going to have a Centennial. It's possible that the coloring of the Centennial will actually become my favorite. But the one that's actually currently my favorite is just a vintage yellow box. It's not one of the super valuable ones that doesn't have the copyright. It's just one of the plaid backs that I might as well get it out. Not that you guys haven't seen this deck before, but it's just one of the plaid backs from like, I think it's from like the mid 80s. And it's got the sort of like no laminate sort of finish on it, and it's really nice. And if you guys are at all interested in like a really good vintage copy of an RWS deck, you can find these on eBay I got this one for less than $30. So, and it's really great, beautiful, buttery cardstock. It's really good, really fun to shuffle. If you're a riffle shuffler or any kind of shuffling, it's fun to shuffle no matter how you shuffle. So that's my favorite RWS deck. To unlock this iPad again, it needs to just stay unlocked. Okay, essential item favorite. Okay, G is for gold or silver. I've always been a silver girl. Always, always, always. I'm a goth child. Always been a silver girl. Although like I have a lot of tarot decks that are edged in gold. Hopefully like silver will become in fashion and like some of those decks will get re-released, like edged in silver or something. I don't know. I'd be into that. Um, H is for height. I am 5'6". I is for ideal day. I think if I were actually to describe my ideal day, I would get like way too detailed about it. But I think it would be a hermit day. I would be like alone, I hanging out with animals, um, or I'd be alone for a good portion of the day, maybe not the entire day. um, I would get to hang out in my house, which is where I feel most comfortable. I would have lots of, pretty lights and purple and take a bath. Like today is almost like a perfect day. But yeah, so yeah, it would just include all of the things I love in an environment that makes me calm and happy. J is for funniest joke. So I am not really like, I love comedy, but I don't really retain jokes in my head or anything. I don't tell jokes to people really. I mean, I like to think I'm kind of witty and funny, but it's all in the moment kind of witty and funny stuff. But the joke that I made up as a child that I've told the most times that still kind of makes me laugh. It's really stupid. Are you ready? What's small, purple, and dangerous? A grape with a gun. I also love I didn't make these up, but the ones that are like, why did the monkey fall out of the tree? Because he was dead. Why did the second monkey fall out of the tree? Because he was stapled to the first monkey. They're just like stupid animal jokes that like are like dad jokes or kid jokes. Those are my kind of jokes. I also really love Eddie Izzard and like just sort of absurd comedy that most people wouldn't think is funny. Like I love mockumentaries. Like some of my favorite shows are The Office and Parks and Recreation, and I really love Best in Show. Like I love anything that's awkward and kind of dad jokey and like low stakes and cute. Those are my kind of jokes. K is for kids. Don't have any of those and never will. I actually, this is another story, but I actually, this is not a story I told the first time I recorded this, so maybe somebody out there is meant to hear this, and that's why I had to delete that video and record it again. I actually one time got high on mescaline that I had harvested from a San Pedro cactus that I had grown myself. It was my own personal San Pedro cactus, and I just, harvested the like meat from the cactus meat from it and ate it on crackers, and it tasted absolutely awful. It tasted like you were eating aloe leaves or something, or aloe branches or stalks or whatever you call it. I'm not a botanist. Can you tell? And it was kind of the best hallucinogenic experience of my life, and I've had a few, probably 5 or less. I've had experiences like that, and it was the best because it was kind of mild, and I made a pact with the universe that I would never bring children into the universe. And I was not very much of a spiritual person at that time. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever really consider myself a spiritual person. That's a whole other like road that we could go down. But I have taken that pact seriously. I mean, I don't think I was ever going to have kids anyway, but that moment felt like it was an actual pact with the universe. It felt important to me that I never bring children into the universe. And since I said it in that moment, that meant that it had to be true. So no kids. I do have fur babies, and they're all in the room with me right now. I have my black cat Collie. I have my German Shepherd mix Xenon, and I have my Husky mix Luna. And the dogs are both very old at this point. I think Luna is 14, and Z is like 13, 12 or 13. So they're both getting up there. I've just put them on like hip and joint pills, like glucosamine or something. Hopefully that will help them because they're both having some problems. Okay. K is for kids. L is for living arrangements. So I live with those animals that I just mentioned and my partner that I've been married to for over 10 years now. We just had our 10-year wedding anniversary, and ours is kind of a sort of a sweet hometown story because we met in high school. We were sophomores. We're the same age. We were sophomores in high school. We met in history class, and he had just moved to where I grew up and still live. And we didn't have a relationship back in high school, but we found each other again in 2006. So 5 years after we graduated high school, and we've been together ever since. And it's just one of those things where we were like, we were literally best friends in high school. It was me, him, and my best friend Kim. We were like, the three of us we were three of cups, we were always together. And like, I was the one with the car, so I was the one driving everybody around. And it was, it's kind of cool. Like, yeah, it's cute. That's our living arrangement. And we, I don't know if this is supposed to mean like also kind of like what kind of place you live in, but I live in a house. It's actually super old. It's 115 years old this year, this house. It was born in 1905. Our house. And I do really love it, but it's kind of a tower of a house. It's really, really tall. Like we have to pay people a lot of money to like do stuff on the roof, that kind of tall, because they're like, oh, that's going to cost you extra because we need special equipment to get up there. So I don't think I want to live here forever because our style is more like 70s style house than like this Victorian style house, although it has a lot of beautiful quirks about it that I will really miss. But I don't want to hike up and down these stairs for the rest of my life. I'm at that age where I'm like, yeah, in about 10 years, I'm really going to hate this shit. So, but I do really love it, and we actually own it. So like, I never thought I would get married, first of all, but I also never thought I would own a house. Like it was like my biggest dream when I was a kid to own my own house, but so that finally came true for us. We've lived here about 5 years now. So that's my living arrangement. M is for Marseille deck, my favorite Marseille deck. I don't really like Marseille decks. They're the style of deck that I ended up getting like when I first really got into tarot, which was like back in like junior high and high school, when I first discovered like being a goth witchy child. And like all the decks that I got were those sort of what I would consider Marseille style decks that just had the totally unillustrated pips. And I never really connected with those, and I didn't know the difference between the different kinds of like tarot systems and things like that. So I didn't know why I wasn't getting along with them, but that just never worked for me. And I didn't actually really get into tarot until I got an RWS style deck. So Marseille just isn't for me, so I don't need to answer that one. Nicknames. N is for nicknames. Obviously I have Mixtress Ray. My middle name is Ray. My first name is Stephanie, and so she calls me Stephaneffany. And of course, many other little cutesy names here and there throughout my life. Online, I've gone by Blood Fairy, Fairy Muse, Lananshi. Lots of like, I really like the dichotomy between like vampire and fairy. So I've had a lot of names that kind of like evoke that feeling. What else? In high school, like my best friend Kim that I mentioned before, like it's a long story, but she ended up I started calling her Sam for some weird reason, and then she called me Spam, and so it was a whole Sam and Spam forever. Those were only nicknames that we really just had for each other. Like other people didn't really call us that, or maybe they did. I think I answered to Spam for a minute there. That was like a middle school, junior high sort of nickname. I just thought it sounded cool. I still do. Spam. Yeah, if you want to call me Spam. Why am I okay with that? Anyway, there's a whole story I also told about my middle name. in the last one of these videos, but I don't know. I don't want the video to be too long, so I'll skip it for now. We're at O. Oracle. So I assume that this is sort of like favorite Oracle deck. My favorite Oracle deck is a Minty Oracle. This is the 42 Principles of Ma'at in Oracle form. And this is the nice little tuck box that it comes in inside its little other bigger box. I really like this deck. I mean, I like that it has sort of, I need to quit doing that. I need to just hold up one card at a time. That's just easier to see. But I just really like this deck a lot. It's not good as like a general use deck, but I love the imagery. They just came out with the author Jennifer Sodini, and who is the artist? I hate it when they make it hard for you to find the artist's name. I don't think that's right. I think it should be just as big as the author's name, you know? I almost think the artist should be more important than the author on these things. Where is it? It's like I think she has the same middle name as me. I think she's like something Ray. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Like Natalie Ray Miller. That was hard. It was in like the back. That's not okay, you guys. Artist names should be much bigger. Luna, you can't get up here right now, honey. I've got crap everywhere. I'm doing a video. You can't jump up here. It's not gonna go well if you jump up here right now. Okay. Why am I making you guys sit here while I put things back together? Because that's what I do. Sorry. Okay. So that's favorite Oracle deck. Unlock this damn iPad again. P is for passionate about. Like, I'm assuming this is like things that you're passionate about. I'm passionate about all kinds of things. Like I said, I have a Buffy podcast. I'm passionate about tarot, obviously. I'm passionate about corsets. Like if you go back through, I've actually had this YouTube channel since I think 2012, maybe 2013. If you go back, you'll see the different, I'm passionate about ASMR. I'm passionate about like music, mixtapes, making mixes. I'm passionate about witchy things. I'm passionate about perfume. I just kind of like reignited my perfume. I'm wearing one of my favorites right now. It's called Belonging to the Darkness, which I did put in the video that I put up earlier this week, although I may not post this till next week, so it might be last week for you. But I have a lot of different things that I'm passionate about, so that's like, I don't know, I could just sit here and waffle on and on about that kind of shit. Q is for quote. I'm not really the type of person that like holds on to quotes. I mean, like, I will quote like lyrics and like movie quotes and stuff just like in regular everyday life, just as the situation calls for it. But quotes that I like live by, I mean, there are a few things that kind of repeat in my head, but they're kind of personal, you know? So what was one that I could say right now? I may be getting this one wrong. I think I read this in a Thich Nhat Hanh book. I'm pretty sure I read it in a Buddhist book. I don't know if it's a quote from him specifically. I feel like I read it in a Thich Nhat Hanh book because I've read a lot of his books. But it's, and I'm probably paraphrasing, but it's, stop looking outside yourself for happiness. Let go of the idea that you don't have it. It is available within you. I always really liked that. And again, I'm probably paraphrasing, but like, it's just one of those things that's running through my head that it's like become a mantra kind of thing. R is for relationship status. Like I said, I am married and have been for 10 years now. So it's really weird even to eat. I don't like tell people I'm married that often because it just feels weird, because I refuse to refer to myself as a wife And I do not refer to my Michael as a husband. Like, those words just are too loaded for me. And I also, like, it was never even a question that I would change my name. Like, even though my name is patrilineal, like, it's my dad's last name. Um, and I was actually named after him. He was Steven, and I'm Stephanie. So, like, not my first name and my last name are patrilineal. Um, so it's like, why am I attached to that name? Because it's the one that I was born with. So, like, I'm not, it was never, even though my Michael's last name is way cooler than mine, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And if we had decided to have kids, we would probably make a weird combination of our last names. That's what we do with our fur babies. They have a combination of both of our last names whenever, because at the vet they make you like put in a last name for the animals. So I always give them that. Where are we? S is for season. My favorite season is by far fall. It's just always been that way. My birthday is in fall. Because I'm a Libra sun and an Aries moon, the way that like full moons work is that they are the opposite side of the sign that you're currently in. So when you're in Libra season, which is when fall starts, you always have a full moon in Aries. So I think because of that, like just astrologically, the stars are always aligned for me at that time of year. So I usually am like ecstatically, manically happy, like from October through mid-November or so. So like that is like kind of the best time of year for me, and it always has been. If I were to rank the seasons, 1 would be fall, 2 would be winter, 3 would be summer, and 4 would be spring. And I'm giving spring a bad rap, but it's because I have PTSD because of a tornado that happened in spring of 2011 that destroyed the town that I live in, or destroyed a lot of it. And it destroyed my home and my mom's home and my sister's home. And it was like, it was my biggest tower moment so far. Knock on couch that it will continue to be my biggest tower moment, because I don't want to go through anything like that again. T is for tarot. Oh, I didn't get these out. First and last. Okay, hold on. I gotta pause so I can go get it. Okay. This is not literally probably the first deck I ever owned, but it's close. This is the one that I've talked about before. This is the Egyptian tarot. This is not the full deck, and as you can see, it's very beat up. I don't have the full deck because my dog, back in like high school, he decided he was mad at me, or he didn't like that I was paying attention to tarot cards. I don't know. He got into my bedroom at some point without my knowledge when I wasn't there, and he took this deck with him out to the yard. And by the time I found out that it was out there, I couldn't find all of the cards. So, but I've held on to it for some weird reason, which is weird for me. Like, I do not do that. I do not hold on to things like this. But I never found the entire deck, and it's like a Marseille style Lo Scarabeo deck. I've thought about buying it again, but I don't think I would resonate with it heavily. But there's something kind of magical about the fact that they're made to look aged, plus they're actually very aged. They're all warped. They're all like, some of them actually have dirt on them from when I found them out in my backyard. Some of them are just like really actually have teeth marks on them from my dog. And this was like, at this point, this dog is long gone. Chundo was his name. God, how long ago would this have been? So I've had this deck most likely since about the year 2000, I think. I don't have the box anymore. I don't have the like little white book, and there's like 15 or 20 cards that are missing from it. So I don't use it because it's missing 15 or 20 cards, but so that's like the oldest deck that I still have in my possession. And it might be the oldest deck. It might be the first tarot deck I ever got. I don't know. It's possible. And then the most recent deck is Lost Hollow Tarot. I've only had this one for a few weeks, maybe a month. And it's a very thothy deck, as I say. See, it's got like Kabbalah stuff in it that I don't really understand. This is my card of the day, Nine of Cups. I'm still getting to know it, but I really like it. It's very much a different vibe than any other deck that I have, and it's got a seriousness to it that sometimes doesn't work for me. Like I don't really like super serious decks, but I think this one's going to work for me. It's very diverse. It has a lot of symbolism in it. It's beautiful. I like 3-color decks for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I do. It's got linen finish, so it's very fun to shuffle. So that's what I assume the tarot first and last, what that means. Okay, next. U is for upset. What upsets you most? The thing that I thought of when I was first recording this video is gatekeeper mentality. That's the thing that upsets me the most. Because at first I started thinking, is this like what upsets you the most about tarot? And is this what upsets you most about the tarot community? Or is this what upsets you most about, and that like led me to thinking about subcultures in general. And the thing that's always bugged me before I even had a word for it, every time I felt like, those moments when you're just figuring out who you are and you like that you found your people. Like I've had that feeling so many different times where I think maybe this is it. Maybe these are my people. And you start to like get into like a certain subculture or something. Like for me, it was like goth kids, or like getting into sort of like the vampire masquerading side of goth kids, and then like the piercing / tattoo community, and then like all of those different communities. There was always a real gatekeeper aspect, and a lot of that was probably because I'm a woman and sexism. So like there's no way that I could ever have done it right, But this is your public service announcement. As long as you're not hurting anyone, you're doing it right. Whether you're getting into tarot or you're getting into witchy things, or I'm assuming that you might be getting into one of those things if you made your way to this video. But anything that you're into, if you're trying to relate to people that are already an established part of the community that you're sort of getting to know, don't let them make you feel like you're doing it wrong. Like just because you might have something to learn about something doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. If you're not hurting someone, you're not doing it wrong. Okay? Look me in the eyes. That's probably one of the things that makes me most upset about anything ever is gatekeeper mentality. Whenever it's like, you must do things this exact way, like thalamic witchcraft or something. Like, I'm sure not all, not all thalamic witches, but like, and that may not be the way that you say that word either. Thalamic, I don't know. But like, the sort of like old school new revival of witchcraft where like you had to like have a god and a goddess and the white candle and the black candle, and you have to do things clockwise, and you have to open a circle, then you have to close a circle, and you can't be a solitary witch, and like so many fucking rules. Thankfully, like I think our culture in general, just as a whole, not just like witches and tarot community stuff, but I feel like our culture in general has stepped away from a lot of that gatekeeper mentality. So it's not something that like I think of that often. Plus the tarot community in general, I feel, is really open. They're very much, there seems to be a general philosophy of as long as you're not hurting anyone, you're fine. So that makes me very happy. But yeah, I would say that that's one of the things that pisses me off the most about life in general is gatekeeper mentality. Where are we? V for vlog. Which are you most proud of and which is your most popular? That's a whole other conversation that like, if you're a person that's trying to do the whole YouTube thing or trying to make it in social media or whatever, like I would really suggest that you ignore all that shit. The algorithm is not human. Like the things that are most popular on my channel are like, I think the most popular video on my channel is probably me unboxing an iPhone. years ago when I was doing like ASMR style unboxings. Um, and, you know, I would like the ones that I'm probably most proud of are things like the things that took me a lot of work, such as my Unfair Comparisons Ultimate video. That took a lot of work, it took a lot of time, and it was rewarding to get it put up there and have a few people react to it, you know? Um, but by far, like unboxing a fucking iPhone 6, like 6 or 7 years ago, was my most popular video. So you really can't pay attention to that shit. Or if you do, just like take it all with a grain of salt because it doesn't matter, you know? Just do what you love. If you keep putting your personality out there and do what you love and try to bring your own creativity to the table in whatever way works for you, again, as long as you're not hurting anyone, then that's going to be more rewarding to you than just like getting numbers for doing something that like everybody else seems to like, you know? W for weakness. I'm sure I have a ton of weaknesses. I would prefer not to list them here. But if we talk about like weaknesses, like as far as like financial, like I have a weakness for tarot. I have a weakness for anything that I love that is beautiful. I have a weakness for it for sure. X is for X-rated. Tell us something naughty you've done. Not gonna do that. I identify as gray sexual, which basically just means I'm basically ace, but every once in a while, an X-rated thing is a part of my journey. But that's not something I'm gonna talk about on YouTube. Totally fine if that's something that you love talking about on YouTube, but for me, not so much. Y is for yesteryear, your favorite year so far, and why? I always just think back to that like sweet spot of those couple of years when I was really figuring out who I was. You know, when I discovered Long Kiss Goodnight and Gina Davis with a smoky eye. That's when my goth journey really started, and that's when I feel like I kind of started figuring out who I am through aesthetic. Like I'm a pretty simple person, and figuring out my aesthetic is the same as figuring out who I am. I'm that shallow. But so that I usually think of 1996, but 1997 is probably slightly more accurate for me. But it was that time in my life before I had had any problematic, abusive relationships. I wasn't damaged yet, you know, like I was discovering The Cure for the first time, and Garbage, and like Shirley Manson's like my number one style icon forever. And Gina Davis, like for Gina Davis's character, Charlie Baldwin, I think is her name. If you haven't seen Long Kiss Goodnight, and I can't remember if I promoted this in the original video of this that I deleted or the last video that I actually posted on the internet, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but if you guys like action movies, 1996, Long Kiss Goodnight, Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson, so good. So underrated, so good. It's funny, it's badass, it's... Watch it. I'm serious. Okay. So 1996, 1997 would probably be my favorite year. And style was my exact aesthetic back then. That was my thing. That's, you know, anyway. Last one, Z is for Zen. What do you do to relax and stay calm? Pretty much my entire life's goal, moment by moment, is to be as calm as possible. That is my... I really care about being calm. I don't like to have emotions unless it's like joy and giddiness. So really everything that I do, like I'm very specific about ambiance. I'm autistic, so I have to create a perfect environment for myself. Like everything has to be purple. I like a lot of different textures. I like things that are cozy. I like velvet. I like corduroy. I like incense in the air all the time. Like people constantly comment that like, they usually say I smell like patchouli, but it's just because somebody smells something that smells like hippie and they think patchouli. But I totally do love patchouli, but most of the time when people are like, oh my God, you smell like patchouli, it's just like, yeah, you're probably just smelling the fact that I've burned 7 sticks of incense today before I left the house. And that is something that I do. So yeah, just I like to create an ambiance that keeps me calm, and I will do anything to stay calm. I'm not into being upset. I don't hold on to grudges and things. Well, I guess sometimes I do. But in general, like I usually tell people how I feel whenever I'm upset because I want to talk it out and get it over with. You know, I want to clear the air and move on, like Alyssa Edwards, you know, just like call you up and be like, I heard you said some shit about me. Let's talk about it. Okay? All right. Yeah. So I like to deal with things so I can move on. I like to deal with things very quickly. That's the Aries moon, I think, in me. And sometimes that rubs people the wrong way. But yeah, I like to create an atmosphere of calm too. Like, I don't ever want people to feel uncomfortable around me. So I try to create an atmosphere of calm. And that's why I used to do ASMR videos. Although my top comment on most of my ASMR videos is, this is not ASMR, because I don't usually do the like really performative ASMR, which I'm fine with. I love performative ASMR, but it's just not something that I want to do. Anyway, that is my getting to know your tarot tuber A to Z. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. What was that? What is that?